Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we are looking at Victory Games' World of James Bond 007. This is the complete basic set, according to the box. And this is for role-playing as a spy. This is one of the early spy RPGs. I think it's one of the earliest. I think it predates Top Secret even. But this came out in 1983 from Victory Games out of New York. They picked up the license for James Bond, which I think at the time was Roger Moore. But it gave stats for Odd Job and Jaws and lots of other characters. Now, this didn't have a whole lot in it, but it's a shockingly detailed RPG as far as roleplay games go. So let's see what's in here. And I know the dice are missing. There's supposed to be 2d10 and 2d6. That's what's missing from my copy. I don't know what I did with them. The boxes tend to be in really bad shape. Like you can see here, this one's crushed. The problem with these is because there is some depth to it and they didn't fill the box all the way. People would stack the boxes up and they'd get this sunken in. Or the corners would get destroyed, which is the most common, is the corners. Usually from something having been placed on top of here and they split over time, or just use and abuse. A lot of these honestly are going to be without the box or just totally trashed. I don't remember how much these cost back in the 80s. I got it used because I was a very young person in 1983, but most people that find these now, they are going to be pretty banged up. And this one's no exception. So here we have the book. As you can see, time has not been kind. The spine is starting to come apart. The paper on the spine is coming apart more than the glue. Thankfully, the glue is still kind of holding up. Like I said, this one was in bad shape when I got it. It's in a lot worse shape now. Cover folds, of course, you're going to see that. The other thing that's in here are character sheets. And these were interesting. You had strength, dex, will, perception, and intelligence. And then there's a multiplication table because you need it for this. So, and then you had skills, skill levels, formula to calculate that based on your skills, and then it got kind of complicated and a little convoluted. So you got a whole pad of these, and they're only front covered. So let's see, did they give you permission to copy this? No, they did not. Huh. Usually they give you permission to photocopy them on there. But Victory Games isn't around anymore, just as a side note. Yeah, you got quite a few character sheets in here, so it would get you through a lot of games, realistically, depending on how bad you guys were at spying. But then there's some adverts in here as well. So let's look at those. Alright, so you had the Be All That You Can Dream with Heroes, Avalon Hill's role-playing magazine. Then there was Nobody Does It Better Than Bond, which was just a list of the various Bond stuff that was out. For example, there was For Special Services, Casino Royale, Diamonds Are Forever, Dr. No, just the paperbacks. So it was a tie-in with Berkeley Books, and they did a lot of other, there was an advanced set of this, there was Game Master screens, stuff like that. But then there was a Victory Games mailer that you could answer a little survey on. And then there was a little flyer that, I don't remember if this was included with the basic set or not, but it's just a little advertisement that you could pick up. And it told you a little bit about it. Yeah, there was the basic game, basic set, cue manual, and the Game Master pack. There were a bunch of modules, as I recall. Let's see, there was the Octopussy Adventure module, the Goldfinger Adventure module. Yeah, the basic game was just this core book, And if you wanted the character sheets, they were only in the box. I think they did later sell them separately or with the Game Master pack. But otherwise, there was really not much difference between the... oh, I have a duplicate of that for some reason. Well, there wasn't much reason to get the box other than to get the dice if you didn't already have dice and the character sheets. Because that's all that really came with this. No maps, anything like that. The pre-generated adventure that you got is part of the book. It's called The Island of Dr. No. And the book is actually pretty nicely laid out. So there's a map in here. Yeah, how to be a big Game Master section telling you everything you need to know. Different firearms, different charts. The Q manual went more in depth in the equipment, but it had all the stats for vehicles, pretty handy in charts. And in the back, you hit this. Look at that! Wow, that's starting to come apart. Look at that fold. You had different charts back here, mission records, so you could keep track of your game, which the Game Master pack provided a little bit more usefulness in that department. And then there was a character sheet back here too. And yeah, that still doesn't say permit. Oh, players are granted permission to copy this sheet. It says it on this one, but not on the pad of them, which is weird. So you gotta screw up your book to copy those. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of useful stuff here. This is a pretty complete game. The mechanics were a little wonky. It reminded me of the FASA house system that they used in the Star Trek game and the Doctor Who game. Except that kind of like their system slightly better, but it's very similar to that. At least as far as my recollection goes. But I do like the core ideas here. If you could tweak the system a little bit, it'd probably be a little more fun. And by today's standards, it's almost a micromanaging format, but it had some cool concepts, and playing as a spy was pretty cool because most games didn't really do that. But I liked this game. I haven't played it in ages, but that is what is inside the James Bond 007 basic set. If you're into old school role playing, this is a must, just because it's James Bond themed, so it's very high adventure, action oriented. There were a decent amount of supplement materials for it to kind of flesh it out, especially like the Q manual was really good, and the adventures, as I recall, were really well done as far as like giving you an outline of an adventure to work with. Victory games, as I recall, didn't last very long. And this was one of their only ones I think they produced as far as RPGs go. I'm thinking they had another one, but I don't remember what that was. So, yeah, as far as roleplay games go, if you're a collector, this is a definite must. It's probably going to cost you a fair amount of money, especially the supplementary materials. The basic set, there were quite a few of that were published because it was fairly popular at the time. I think Top Secret might have killed this one, or they lost the license or went under or something. But it didn't last a whole long time. It was a couple years. But this one it has a lot of historical significance for role players in a lot of ways, because it was one of the first spy games, and it offered something other than just fantasy or sci-fi. But this was ISBN 0912515023. Product number 35002 from Victory Games. I like this one just for the nostalgia aspect. When you're a kid and you're playing as a spy, it's kind of awesome. So it's almost like superhero stuff. But that is what is inside the James Bond 007 Complete Basic Set box. And that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you on the next episode of What's Inside.